to talk to you guys about a subject that I got kind of screwed over on, and I wanted to spread the awareness so people don't make the same mistake I made. And the mistake really comes down to buying a salvaged vehicle with a salvage certificate as opposed to a salvage title. And if like myself, I didn't know the difference between the two. And as you guys may know, if you've been following the channel, I recently got a 2014 BRZ Subaru that is salvaged. And when I got it, the guy gave me at the time what was a salvage certificate, but I didn't know the difference. I didn't know better. I just assumed it was a salvage title because it looks like a title when you look at it. And it just says the word salvage in big letters at top, so it makes you think it's a salvage title. So I took it, and all I thought I had to do was smog the car, go to DMV, register it, maybe pay some fees possibly, and be on my way. But it was far from that. So I have a little bit of like notes here. But basically, a salvage certificate is issued when an insurance company declares total loss of the vehicle. And the vehicle, once it's declared total loss by the insurance, should not be driven, because there's many reasons why vehicles could be totaled, and some are completely unsafe to be on the road, like if you have frame damage, or I don't know, if you're like wheels like halfway broken or something crazy, or it's been in a major accident, or it's completely undrivable, or if it simply had you know, like flood damage or something, then some electronics could be damaged. But if it was salvaged due to theft, then like you can still drive the car, you just may have to replace whatever was stolen. And a lot of times you can find those parts much cheaper than the insurance can, depending on which vehicle and all that. But anyway, so there's different reasons why they're totaled, and they issue the salvage certificate. So when you buy it, if you buy it with the salvage certificate, you still have to do a few things before getting the actual salvage title and being able to register it and legally drive it. So when I picked this car up, all he did was give me the salvage certificate. So technically it wasn't even street legal, but because they owned the dealership, they gave me a dealer plate that was good for a few months. And he told me, like, as long as I register within like 30 days or whatever, or even a couple of months, I should be fine. Well, yeah, sure. That wasn't exactly the case. So when I went to the DMV, they told me that that's when I learned that I did not have a salvage title. I learned that I had a salvage certificate, and that there were some steps that needed to be taken in order for me to finish the process, or for them to finish the process, and for me to legally register it and drive it. But meanwhile, I was driving the car anyway because I had the dealer plates on it, and well, I was like obsessed with the car. I wasn't gonna not drive it. Plus, I had no idea. So what I had to do is go to and get what's called a state safety inspection, and that entails going to a shop, paying them usually a couple hours in labor. It's usually between like $250 to $400, and they perform the safety inspection. And a lot of times you'd fail it because they look at absolutely everything. They look at lights, they look at brakes, they look at tires, they look at suspension, they look at frame. So if there's absolutely anything that is even remotely close to not being in perfectly working order, in perfect working order, they're gonna fail you. And not only they fail you, they still charge you for their time. And when you go and fix whatever it is that you need to fix, you got to come back to them and they'll charge you again. So if you're like me and you got stuck in a situation where you didn't know better, and you ended it up with a salvage certificate instead of the title, or you ended up buying a car that was really hard to find, like this one, and like even if I knew, I still would have bought it regardless, just because there's no other cars that were remotely close to this price that had the things that I wanted, the trim level and everything else. So in my case, I would have done it anyway. But if I was doing this simply to get like an economical car to save as much money as I possibly could, or to flip it, no way in hell I would ever buy a salvage car with a salvage certificate. I would buy one with an actual salvage title. And it's not just the hassle, and it's not just the fees and that. The biggest thing is this, is that if you're just getting it with a salvage certificate, you don't know what all is wrong with the car. So unless you're a car person and you know exactly that platform, you know exactly what to look for, and you've inspected it yourself or maybe paid a shop to inspect it prior to purchasing it, you may end up with all sorts of like bad things that may end up making that car not worth whatever they're asking for. And another buying tactic that's in your favor over the seller is if you use that to your advantage. Say, hey, I still got to go get it, make sure it passes the inspection, and that's going to cost money, and you can use that as leverage to hopefully get it for a lower price, like I did, even though I used something else as leverage. But regardless, but it would save you more money. That way you can use that money to pay the state for this safety inspection. I don't know what the heck's going on here. So once you go through the safety inspection, and let's say your vehicle is all up to par, and you pass, then you have to go to DMV and you have to go through what's called VIN verification. And that just means they make sure that all the VIN numbers on your car match. And I've heard a lot of times on salvage cars, there's like, the VIN numbers aren't even on there, like they're ripped off. So I'm not sure, that probably complicates the process further. Luckily, all these stickers in the door, the inspection or the emissions label and everything was still left on this car. They never removed it. And I'm still kind of not exactly sure why this car was salvaged, because when I got it, it was like the only thing that was wrong with it was just the front and the back bumper was cracked, and I guess the guy backed up into like a curb or something with the exhaust, so they had to like cut off the muffler and like re-weld it at a straight angle again. So it was very like cosmetic and very minor, so I'm not sure why exactly they salvaged it. But insurance companies sometimes will salvage a car or will total a car if it costs too much to repair it. And like for this car, they don't really make like Chinese parts, so they typically, a lot of these get salvaged over the smallest things because it costs a lot to find those parts, and sometimes they're on back order from Subaru, things like that. And then the insurance company doesn't want to deal with it, they just total it out. The guy showed me pictures at an auction, how he picked this thing up. It was drivable, and when I bought it from him, it was drivable. So there was really not much I had to do in order for it to pass the safety inspection. All I had to do is replace a couple of bulbs that were burnt out, and like for my own sake, I wanted the bumpers to look good, so I had my buddy Leo just paint them for me and fix a couple of cracks. And everything else was really just like, I had a missing visor and like a couple of small things that I'm not sure would cause it to be totaled. So I'm still not exactly sure why they totaled it, but there's absolutely no signs of any kind of frame repair or any major wrecks. The airbags were original, so I was told it was cosmetic, and Carfax I checked, it said minor cosmetic damage. So I don't know, still kind of a mystery, but I'm not worried about it. So after you get that safety inspection passed, and going back to what I was saying earlier, like it's in your benefit to buy a car that already has a salvage title, because that means that the guy that you're buying it from, or whoever you're buying it from, they went through the safety inspection, and if there was something wrong with the car, they would have had to fix it in order to pass it, unless they somehow forged it or whatever, which in California it has to go through the DMV system. It has to actually go through like they connect to your OBD2 port. So I don't know if you can kind of like hot smog the safety inspection. I haven't looked into it, but be mindful. If there is a way for them to do that, then I would just double check and make sure when you buy in a car that it indeed did pass the inspection. I would even go as far as calling the shop that has passed it and seeing if they can verify it with their records, just to make sure it wasn't like a hot smog kind of situation, but for inspection, whatever that would be called. So those are some of the pointers, especially if you guys are trying to flip the car or get yourself like an ultimate best deal, because salvage cars do tend to be sold a lot cheaper than clean title cars. So for like a daily driver, just to go to work and back, you can save a lot of money by buying a salvage car and get a car that you could never dream of even having for like less than half of the price. And a lot of times it makes sense. I lucked out. I don't think there's really anything else like really wrong with this car, and if there is, it's not really enough to bother me. But it doesn't mean that any salvage car is going to be like that. And a lot of them do have frame damage, and a lot of them do have airbags that have been deployed. So, you know, do your homework and don't make the same mistake I did. Make sure it has its salvage title and not just a certificate, unless you're like absolutely just set on having that car and you don't care that it may end up being a can of worms. All right, well, that's all I had for you guys. I think that's all really that. Oh yeah, so the VIN verification, you get that done, and then if your state requires smog, you would get that done, and then you basically pay the fees. And I had to pay fees because, like I said, the license plate I was given was good till August, but the car, as they said at the DMV, was born in March, so they like basically had me pay late fees from March through June. Oh, look at that beautiful purple ocean. They said our oceans are turning purple. You can kind of see it. Like it's blue way out there, but then it's like purple closer. But yeah, we're going to the beach, and I wanted to share this experience with you guys, so to hopefully educate those that may not be aware of this. Like I wasn't. I've been into cars like my whole life. I'm surprised I was never aware of this. Kind of feels stupid, but hey, you live and you learn, right? But yeah, stay tuned for more videos. The next video I'll be doing is like updating you guys on all the mods and everything that I've done since the safety inspection. So stay tuned for that, and subscribe and like and all that good stuff if you haven't done so. We'll catch you in the next one. Take care.